On December 18, 2016, Russian-controlled separatist troops launched a massive attack against Ukrainian army positions near the city of Svitlodarsk in the Donbas region. The Ukrainian army soldiers returned fire and managed to push the enemy back several kilometers, taking control of the town of Novoluhansk, as well as other strategic points. 9 Ukrainian soldiers lost their lives during several days of intense fighting. Separatist losses are estimated to have been significantly higher. During this time, separatist attacks in other areas increased as well, not only in the volatile Donetsk district, but also in the Luhansk district, which had been relatively peaceful earlier in December. Why did these fierce attacks of Russian-controlled forces take place precisely at that time in December? Specialist in military affairs, Dmytro Snegiryov, explained that this was a tactic typically used by Russia, that is, to increase the level of fighting for the purpose of pursuing a specific political goal. He claimed that, in this case, the attacks that began on December 18th were intended to jeopardize negotiations for the prisoner exchange between the separatists and Ukraine that was scheduled for December 21st. The official Ukrainian side in these negotiations is headed by the first Deputy Speaker of the Supreme Council of Ukraine, Irina Herashchenko. Herashchenko had pledged the readiness of Ukraine to release 228 prisoners named by pro-Russian separatists in exchange for 58 Ukrainian soldiers and civilians held in captivity by the separatists. However, because of the deliberately intensified hostilities in eastern Ukraine, which the Russian side then tried to blame on the Ukrainian army, the planned prisoner exchange negotiations did not take place. A successful exchange of prisoners is one of the main requirements of the Minsk Agreement, a complex of measures intended to alleviate the ongoing war in the Donbas region of Ukraine. Military analyst Dmytro Snegiryov explained that Russia wants to prevent the prisoner exchange because it wants to discredit the Minsk process in its entirety as fruitless and unnecessary. Because, after all, the non-compliance of the Russian side with the resolutions of the Minsk Agreement is the precise and direct reason for continued Western economic sanctions against Russia. Snegiryov added that the Russian side has been consistently blocking the Ukrainian side's progress in the Minsk negotiations, while at the same time also positioning People's Deputy of Ukraine Nadiya Savchenko as the key figure and go-to person in prisoner exchange negotiations. Why Nadiya? For her part, Nadiya Savchenko, although not authorized to do so, has been conducting secret meetings and negotiations with separatist leaders, most notably at the end of December 2016. And she has openly criticized the official Ukrainian delegation as being ineffectual. Snegiryov provided additional context. Nadiya Savchenko, in trying to take over in prisoner exchange negotiations, has in effect become a tool for the Russian side to discredit official Ukrainian negotiators, and in the end, the Minsk Agreement itself. And if the Minsk process were to be left in tatters, Western sanctions against Russia could technically be lifted without the need for any changes to Russian policy vis-à-vis Ukraine. The question that confounds and irritates Ukrainians is, of course, why in the world is Nadiya Savchenko placing herself in this position? What is she thinking? Though there are also those who believe that Savchenko is merely a misguided, tragic victim. Just by way of reminder, Nadiya Savchenko is a former army pilot who was captured by the enemy in eastern Ukraine in 2014 and subsequently imprisoned in Russia. She was released from high-profile Russian captivity in May 2016. Still in 2014, while in captivity, she was elected a People's Deputy of Ukraine. Although Nadiya Savchenko was commended for her heroism and received awards and acclaim following her ordeal in captivity, in recent months her behavior has become erratic and questionable. As a result, her approval rating among Ukrainians has dropped sharply. At the end of 2016, Savchenko was expelled from her political party Батьківщина, and also from the Ukrainian delegation to the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, or PACE. She then started a quote-unquote community platform called Runa, which in her mind is a political party alternative. President of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, who earlier had designated Nadiya Savchenko a hero of Ukraine and had her on a speed dial, has now vehemently distanced himself from the beleaguered ex-pilot. I'm Tania Stech, and this was Ukraine in the News.
Канал 1+1 тепер доступний на Bell International Programming.